Learn more about financially. I know it's very expensive to attend USC. It's not surprising. You already know that. And of course, we give them all the financial aid information regarding scholarships, student loans, private loans, so many different types of benefits out there, or resources for financial aid. We also clarify their status of application. We go over any questions that they may have. We go over about our clinical dentistry, our community outreach. They participate in a mock problem-based problem-solving case exercise, which is the interview. Okay, and to evaluate those things that can only be evaluated in person. In other words, the interview. Okay. Any questions about this? About our interview format? Does that make sense? You guys kind of have an idea? Again, this is subject to change each year. It could be different next year for the ones applying for 2013. We don't know. This has been, we kind of changed the format this year, I would say compared to last year. Okay. So, again, if you feel comfortable working in a group setting, then this would be a good fit for you. Go ahead.
In what way did it change from last year?
Yeah, last year we didn't have those individual questions.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't have the pageant part. So, it was just group. We just did the exercise.
How many individual questions?
What is it?
How many individual questions?
It's usually 2.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, it can change. We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it could even change this semester. It depends on the committee. It's the discretion of the admissions committee. Go ahead.
Can you explain a little more about that, like when you ask some personal questions?
Well, it just if you come in for any interview, for like a job interview, so it could be any random questions. Yeah, I'm not allowed to give out what the questions are, but the ones that were interviewed can tell you. But it could be. Well, Stephanie, do you remember one of your questions?
One of the really fun questions.
You can. It could be a fun question. It could be.
It was not a very serious. It was a pretty fun question. Let's just say that. Like
Yeah.
it's not something that you're gonna wrap your head over.
Yeah, exactly. Some could be serious. Yeah, some could be relating to really about dentistry. Yeah, if you know yourself well, then you should be able to answer the questions fine. Yeah, it's not gonna be it's not brain surgery really. Okay. Any other questions about the interview? Again, they're evaluated based on all this. This is the criteria. Thinking is very important when it comes to this interview. Okay, able to comprehend to simple instructions or information. Another thing is if you're overbearing, you're rude, you're obnoxious, you're unprofessional, you're not going to do well. So keep that in mind. I'm being honest. You have to be aware of your surroundings. Okay, being courteous, being professional is important. Yeah, and I think you all know that. So I don't need to tell you anything else. Okay, go ahead.
What kind of group size, Ryan?
It can range from 8 to 10. Normally about 10. Yeah, and you have 2 evaluators in the room. Let me see here. So, good thing you mentioned that. So they're facilitated by, it could be faculty, professional staff like from admissions, it could be an alum. We try to get as many faculty or dentists to get involved, but sometimes with their schedule, it can be a little hectic. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So one of the assessments is how to work as a team.
That's one of them.
What if you personally know how to work as a team, but the teammates that you're with don't necessarily know how to work as a team?
That's possible. But you're not evaluated as a group. You evaluate individually. So we observe you individually, but we want to see how well you're able to interact in a group setting. So we can, what's your name?
Michael.
Michael. We can say, oh, Michael, wow, he's great in a group. But that other Michael is terrible. So, that's possible. Okay. I'm just kidding. You're fine. So fewer than 60% of all applicants are invited to participate in the interview. Okay, so usually less than 17%. Okay, so the deadline is February 1st. We do our first round of acceptances, or we send out our first round of acceptances on December 1st, like the same as any other dental school. So December 1st, we only accept a fourth of the class, so 36 out of the 144, so only a fourth. We accept another fourth in February or January. By the way, this is a little bit off. it's supposed to be, it's sometimes it's January, February, sometimes it's March. Yeah. And sometimes it's April. So we accept about a fourth each round. Okay, and we wait usually a few weeks to see if the ones that we accept are interested in coming to USC. So the ones on December 1st, we give them 30 days. Okay, to see if those 36 are still interested in attending USC. If they don't, then they open up more spaces. So we accept another fourth, but then it could be a little bit more than 1/4. Let's say only 30 of them paid out of the 36. That means we're gonna have 6 spaces available, including another fourth for the next round. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. So depending on how many spaces we have available. So again, the first round is usually December 1st. We usually have the second round in January or February, depending on the committee. And then we can have another one in March or April, another one in April or May. We usually fill up our class by May, but our class is not finalized until late August when the entering student orientation begins in late August. Okay, that's when the class is finalized because people can drop anytime in the summertime. So between May and August, we can have some of them drop, even though they submitted their deposit, they can drop and open up more space into the class. Okay, go ahead.
So you have 30 days to decide?
Depending on when you're accepted. So when you're accepted on December 1st, it's usually 30 days. The second round, it's usually 30 days. But the next rounds are probably going to be less. It's going to be half. It's going to be 15 days. In the summertime, they're usually only given 3 days. In the summertime, they're accepted in August. They have to submit the full $3,000 deposit to secure a spot. If you're accepted on the day of orientation, you have to submit your deposit on the spot. You're only given 1 full day. Yeah, because school's already starting. So the closer you get to school, you have to submit your deposit. Yeah, right away, pretty soon. But the first round, the first group of students, the first 2 rounds, they're given $500. They're only asked to give $500 to secure their spot, because we do installments. So the next deadline for them would be later on in May, right, or March or May, and they would have to submit an additional $1,500, or the additional $1,000. So it'd be $1,500, and they submit their last $1,500 in the summer. I know it sounds a little complicated right now, but if you are accepted, then you'll have all that information. Yeah, but we do installments at the beginning. Go ahead. I totally confused myself. Go ahead.
So if you send in your application for the first round, say if you're not accepted that first round, does your application get carried down to the next round?
Good question. I'm glad you brought that up. If you're invited for an interview, you're automatically placed on the waiting list or the wait list as a post-interview candidate because you completed the interview process, you successfully completed it, you're automatically placed on the wait list or post-interview list. And that's the list that the committee goes by when it comes to accepting. So that's where they pull out the people they're going to accept from the post-interview list. And you can remain on that post-interview list until the class is finalized in late August, okay, when the entering student orientation begins. Okay, so you'll be considered for each round of acceptance every time. So let's say you got interviewed in October and you were not accepted on December 1st, you'll still be considered for the next round of acceptance in February or March or April until the class is finalized. Okay, is that what you mean?
Yeah, but then I was also wondering, say if you aren't accepted and your application, is it still in the whole bank of all your applications?
I think I missed the beginning.
If you send your application the first round and you're not accepted, is your application still carried down with all the people who turned it in after December 1st? The second, you know how it's rolling?
Yeah.
So if you're you know how you have a certain amount that you accept by December 1st? If you're not accepted within that first round, does your application get carried on for the
It keeps on going.
Okay.
Even if you're not interviewed yet, you'll still remain on the pool.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could still be considered for interview. We do interview for a while. We interview usually from October until March or April, depending on the year. So we normally don't send out denial or rejection letters right away. It takes us a while because we may want to hold your application and see how the pool gets when it comes to interviewing. So you could be invited for an interview in March. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Something similar to the question is, after 90 days you wait, after you get your interview, you wait 90 days and you can do phase 2 again. Do you just submit your new DOT score? You don't need anything new to submit, or?
You mean if you were to get interviewed? What was it?
I don't know if that makes sense, but if you decide after the interview you don't get it, the acceptance.